try a couple of translations and we'll let our listeners work out what these translations would be. So, number one, let's think about, I would like to try on these trousers, please.
Vorrei provare questi pantaloni.
Francesca, can you help us here? I would like to try on these trousers, please.
Vorrei provare questi pantaloni, per favore.
Vorrei provare. I would like to try on questi. It's questi because pantaloni are masculine plural. Questi pantaloni, per favore. Okay, what about this coffee is not very good.
Questo caffè non è molto bene.
Questo caffè non è molto buono.
Okay. Turning this around a little, how do you say this coffee is not a good coffee?
Questo caffè non è...
Francesca?
Questo caffè non è un buon caffè.
Questo caffè non è un buon
caffè. We put the buon before the adjective, before the noun rather, has an adjective.
Questo caffè non è
questo caffè non è molto buono, or questo caffè non è un buon caffè.
Perfetto.
One more example. In this city there aren't many restaurants.
In questa città non ci sono molti ristoranti.
In questa città non ci sono molti ristoranti.
In questa città non ci sono molti ristoranti. There aren't many restaurants. This is great practice for our adjectives too. Okay, so that's questo as an adjective, demonstrative adjective. But questo can also be used as a pronoun. Now, it's quite possible that our listeners might be wondering what's the difference between an adjective and a pronoun. The adjective is always going with a noun. Just so, by way of some translations. So, Ayla, Francesca has got two sentences from Italian into English and two from English into Italian. Francesca, can you give Ayla number one?
Ok, numero uno. Questa macchina è piccola, ma quella è grande.
Okay, so here we've got the adjectival form and also a pronoun form. Questa macchina è piccola, ma quella è grande. So think carefully about how you're going to translate that pronoun version.
This car is small, but that one is big.
Okay, Ayla, can you have a go?
I'll have a go. I think this one means this car is small, but that one is big.
Exactly, yeah. Quella, you say that one in English, ma quella è grande. We're talking about una macchina. Questa macchina è piccola, ma quella è grande.
Sì.
Okay, Francesca, can we have another translation, please?
Ok, numero due. Hanno paura di quegli animali, ma non hanno paura di questi.
A very expression that we covered a few weeks ago again. Hanno paura di quegli animali, ma non hanno paura di questi. Listeners, I listen to think.
They are scared, they have fear of those animals, but not these animals.
What about this one? Hanno paura. What does avere paura mean?
To have fear.
To be scared?
Yeah, avere paura, literally to have fear. So, hanno paura, who is scared?
They.
Hanno paura di quegli animali. Translate that part.
They are afraid of those animals?
Yeah.
Sì.
Ma non hanno paura di questi.
Ma non hanno
But
paura
not of
di
these ones.
questi.
Yeah, exactly. The questi there is the pronoun these ones. It stands for the animals, these ones. Benissimo. Okay, let's go from English into Italian, really testing your understanding here, Ayla.
Ok, allora numero 3. That passport is Australian, but that one is Irish.
Quello passaporto
Okay, really tricky here. That passport is Australian. Now there you're using the adjective form, but that one, pronoun form, is Irish.
Ma quello
We'll give you some time to think about this.
Irlandese. So, questo passaporto.
Okay, Ayla, have a go at the first part. That passport.
Quel passaporto
Quel passaporto, is Australian.
è australiano.
But
Irlandese?
It's Irish, yeah, well done. Ma quello, in this case, is the demonstrative pronoun form there. Quello is the adjectival form, that's quel passaporto. But when it's used in the pronoun form, it's quello. Quel passaporto è australiano, ma quello è irlandese.
Australiano.
Sì, ok, ancora una.
Sì.
Numero 4. Do you prefer this or that? And it's a masculine this or that.
Okay,
So imagine you have I don't know, a glass of wine or a spritz.
Questo.
Okay, so do you prefer this or that? And you might also want to think about this as this one or that one. Okay?
Questo
do you prefer this or
o quello? Preferisci questo o quello?
that? Okay, I love. What would this one be?
Preferisci questo o quello?
Sì, esatto.
Sì, preferisci questo o quello?
A very useful phrase, regardless of whether you're talking about.
Ciao, benvenuto al mio canale. È la fine della quinta settimana di mia esperienza con l'italiano. Questa settimana ho iniziato lezioni con la mia maestra sul Italki e va molto bene in mia opinione. Mi sorpressato perché prima pensato che mi spagnolo will come in mi conversazioni di italiano, ma non è un problema questa ora. Con la mia maestra, nostra conversazione è una mezzo esercizi di grammatica e mezzo conversazione e per esempio la ultima lezione tutto il tempo parliamo in una discussione non con esercizi di grammatica, però ovviamente necessito entrambi e ovviamente in una lezione molto più facile perché abbiamo un contesto, un soggetto, per esempio cose della casa, un tavolo, la cucina, e questo dà noi un soggetto per parlare circa sì, per me è molto divertente e spero che vado a continuare a prendere lezione 5 volte ogni settimana, almeno durante questo esperimento. Okay, so that's good. That's good. Did almost 4 minutes there, and yes, so this week I started my lessons on Italki. I took 5 lessons this week. It's New Year's Day now. Well, it's almost over now. It's 11 something. So yeah, almost 11:30. So New Year's is almost over. And so I took 5 classes this week. It's been great. I get along well with my tutor. We've been doing a little bit of a mix of exercises and conversation, but really she's been doing a good job of mixing in conversation within the structure of the grammar and the vocabulary. For instance, maybe we're looking at vocab of the house, but then that leads to discussion of things in the house, things of interest, and conversation continues from there. And she's got, I'm trying as much as I can to just speak Italian the entire time in our lesson. And if I get stuck, I ask her, hey, how do I say this? And it's only that part. And when she tells me how, she's got a list of all of the words and phrases that I've been asking about. So I can go back and review them, which is helpful. And just trying to, build up my words, phrases, expressions, and grammatical constructions. And that seems to be going well. I'm quite pleased with it up to this point. And so I hope that it continues. One of the big surprises, especially the first lesson, and honestly, I thought could be a problem for quite a while, was my Spanish going to rear its ugly head and very often, but it really hasn't. Yeah, once in my little 4-minute monologue there, what did I say? I said some word in Spanish instead of the Italian, but in general, and it happened in an hour lesson, it happens maybe 2-3 times at most. So that's a lot less frequent than I thought it was going to be. To be honest, going into it, I thought it was going to be like every other sentence, every other word, but that hasn't been the case so far. So, and then when I've been doing my Spanish lessons, because I'm still keeping up with that, Italian hasn't really popped up there either. So that lets me know that at least, my level of Spanish at this point is sufficiently advanced that learning another kind of similar language is not going to disrupt that. So a lot of positive things this week. I really cranked out a lot of hours because it's been the week between Christmas and New Year's and I didn't do anything and work is shut down. So I was able to get a lot of hours in. And if you watch my language goal recap of 2022, you saw how many hours I did in Italian in December. And so, yeah, been a very productive week. This is by far my most productive week, and I do not foresee replicating that until maybe this time next year. So let's go ahead and get going with the rest of the recap. So this is the week 5 of 12 for the sprint. I did Coffee Break Italian 7 out of 7 days. I have not missed a day of Coffee Break Italian since I've started this. I completed 20 lessons, totally 9.5 hours. Still great. Love it. It's great resource. It's fun. It's an engaging show, podcast. The hosts are great. They've got good chemistry as well. And I'm in the second season now. And in the second season, they've introduced this, they've got 2 styles of episodes. So it's going to be 50 episodes total, 40 episodes of like grammar, phrases, real lessons, and then 10 episodes of this magazine style, which I've completed now, which is interesting because you learn vocabulary specifically because they cover one subject in the magazine, like a person, an event, or something having to do with Italian history. And so, still loving it. I'm probably going to I've already repeated some of the episodes in season 2, and I foresee more repetition in my future, just because it's one thing to be able to understand an idea, structure, whatever it is, grammar point. When you're studying it, it can be easy to understand what it is, but then to be able to use it and really ingrain that so that it comes out effortlessly, that's a whole nother ball game. And so obviously I need more practice with that. Next up is Link. I did at least one lesson in Link every day this week. Good news is I finished all of the 60 mini stories. my first run through at least. I'm now planning on moving on to the short story series, starting with these 4 here. And so I'm going to start on that tomorrow. I have these are great because they essentially function similar to Link in that they have audiobooks on Audible. So you can download those, and I'm going to be taking the same approach where I'm going to listen once, read once, and then listen and read at the same time. And so looking forward to that and starting that. Really, like this week was almost like a phase 1.5 because I started the italki lessons, but I was still finishing up Link. Now moving on to Asimo, I completed 6 out of 7 days. A couple of days this week, including today, I was just really busy with other things. Well, today I was busy with actually editing the YouTube videos and putting them up on YouTube because I had been putting that off in an effort to do more Italian, but at some point I needed to spend some time on the YouTube stuff, so I did a lot of that today. Earlier this week I had some other things to take care of, so all that to say, I missed 1 day of Asimo, but I did 6 lessons plus a revision. 3.5 hours. Oh, and for Link, I did 6.3 hours this week. Then Asimo, I did 3.6 hours basically, and I missed 1 day. Otherwise, yeah, that seems to be going well as well. Nothing really to say on that one. Then Italian Uncovered, I did 4 out of 7 days this week for a total of 3.3 hours. I'm enjoying it. I think the videos are great because the native speaker who's teaching and talking throughout those lessons and, using sentences and phrases and words from the chapter that we read to further explain the grammar and, how phrases are used. And you pick up good little tidbits and nuggets as you're going along. And then, yeah, I already talked about italki. I did 5 lessons for 5 hours this week. It's been a good mix between exercises and discussions. One thing I wanted to point out was that, so when I first started doing lessons on italki, I was taking Korean and Russian lessons. And man, at the end of 1 hour of Korean and Russian, I felt tired. Like my brain was melted because it was such an effort. And that has not been the case with Italian, which has made me quite happy. I was actually expecting that because that's what I experienced with Russian and Korean, but that so far has not been the case with Italian. I mean, obviously it is still exercise and I'm trying to get used to a new language. And so it's certainly not like it is in my Spanish lessons, for instance, where that more or less is just normal conversation. I mean, it's a little step up, obviously, than me trying to talk in English or French, but it's pretty comfortable now. Just from time to time, I get stuck with this vocabulary or how to structure a phrase. But yes, and so, yep, that about does it for this week, and I will see you next week. Hope you guys have a good week. I lied. Actually, I'm back because I realized I forgot to give the absolute totals for this week in regards to hours. So 9.5 hours of Coffee Break Italian, 6.3 hours of Link, 3.6 hours of Asimo, 3.3 hours of Italian Uncovered, 5 hours of italki lessons for a total of 27.75 hours of active studying just this week. So almost 28 hours of active studying. On top of that, I did 2.5 hours of passive watching, which was 2 episodes of the Netflix show that I'm watching and 1 podcast episode of Easy Italian. So with that now, I'm actually gone this time.